with his skills at doing his job. I have to admit that the thing about Jesse, which I am still most impressed with, is his profile photo on Facebook, where I wish I had gotten it. Anyway, he is Jesse. I don't know if any of you know this. Jesse breaks dances. I don't know if anyone knows. Jesse is doing this crazy move, which I would probably destroy my tongue simply describing, let alone doing with my own body, where he is like up on one hand, his legs completely in the air, and he has opened the Portable Atheist by Hitchens, and really it looks like he's reading it. It's I don't know. I just get a kick out of it every time I look at it. So with that, I will go ahead and let the pirates have a voice again, and let Jesse talk to you about how to become a media pirate.
All right. So August spoke up for the ninjas. This is for the pirates. Let's be honest. We know they're better. We know it's a minority outreach effort for the ninjas, but it's all about the pirates. And here we have Jack Sparrow reading the Empirical, our monthly newsletter. You can see a better picture of it in the handout. I think it's 35. Does anybody confirm that? And no, he didn't actually read it. That's all Liz Liddell and her awesome Photoshop skills. I know you're shocked, but how many people here have done tabling? Set up a table? Okay, almost everyone. How many people talk to students on campus as they walk by the tables or as you're doing events? Yeah, all of you. How many people do you think you reach doing these tabling events, talking to people who walk by? 100? 2.5 people? That's great. And you're reaching people. You're doing exactly what we want you to do. I mean, our goals are so in line. What I want you to do is reach more people. And it's not easy, but there's somebody who can help you. It's called the newspaper. It's called the media. They want to help you spread your message. And so in the theme of pirates, I think the phrase I used is how to commandeer the media to get them to spread your message. So there's some basic rules, more like guidelines. Pirate code. Be newsworthy. Do things that the media will want to cover. We have an advantage in that because we're atheists, we're new, we're novel. They love talking about us. We're sort of hip these days, which is nice. They're not burning us at the stake. They're covering us in the news, although sometimes they crucify us in the media. If you're doing newsworthy things, you need to figure out who you're going to target. Tell your campus newspapers, tell the local papers, sometimes tell the national newspapers if it's something really important. But telling the wrong people is not going to be as helpful. Have something good to say when they want to cover you, because if your message is going out there tabling, telling people, look, we're here, we can be good people even though we don't believe in God, if you get sidetracked and they start talking about something else, your message isn't being spread by the media. And fourth, deliver it properly. Just make sure you're giving it in the right way. So, a lot of examples. This talk is mostly examples from what you are doing right now, what you have done. Some groups are doing an excellent job of this. What I want to see is more groups doing it. Host a creative event. Good way to be newsworthy. This is ours from last conference. Taking 300 atheists to the Creation Museum led by P.Z. Myers. Was anybody here for that? Yeah. That was fun. We got some good coverage from that. USA Today, ABC News, national coverage from this really creative event. But it doesn't have to be just us. This is a difficult picture to see, but this is from Purdue. Jen McCright's group hosting a creative event, sending atheists to church. Reporters love this kind of counterintuitive idea where atheists going to church. What for? For a food bank. The school newspaper covered it, The Exponent, and suddenly more people are reading about atheists being good people working towards a food bank. You're reaching more people than you could just by standing at a table and telling people about it. This is the only slide that did not get media coverage because I think it's so creative and could have gotten media coverage. And the AHA at Oregon, standing up behind the campus preacher with signs, atheists love you, and a lot of positive things, very creative. Did you tell the school newspaper before you were doing it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get coverage?
We got a couple photographs, and we got
okay.
coverage on Heaven's Blog.
Awesome. Yeah. I talk here, I show a lot of news coverage from like newspapers and especially websites, but blogs, more and more, are the way to get news. Local paper, school newspaper, you're getting a lot of people, which is great when the message is atheists can be good people, but Hemmett's blog, Jen's blog, PZ Meyer's blog, you're reaching a very targeted audience of people who are already interested in the subject. So yeah, awesome creative event. Another way to be newsworthy, partner with a strange bedfellow. One of the things the media loves to cover is, wait, you're working with people who disagree with you? Who does that these days? This is from Purdue at Calumet, just hosting events with the Christian group on campus. Got a couple news coverage. And this is one really recently. UIUC stood up, the atheist group, Atheists, Agnostics, and Free Thinkers, is standing up for a Catholic professor on free speech grounds. And it got covered in Fox News here, saying, hey, wait, the atheists are on the same side as the Catholics. Something you don't see every day, and the media loves to cover it. Offer a counterintuitive point of view. Now, we have an advantage. Our entire message is counterintuitive to most people. So this is Boise State. They said, outgrown your imaginary friend. And it was not a job fair, but a club fair. And they had this cool sign. I think it's funny myself. And it got taken down without their permission. They called censorship. They got front page in their school newspaper about the controversy. And they had some great quotes about why they should have been allowed to do it, what they stand for. And suddenly everybody on campus from the front page, here's about the group. Here's what they stand for. Can't ask for better coverage than that. Be first. Again, we have some advantage. This is the Arkansas group. They started a group. The media covered it. We're novel. There are not many atheist groups 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Suddenly, we're popping up everywhere, and the media loves to cover it. I mean, the billboards that are going up are innocuous, but my God, there's a billboard going up from atheists. We're so new, we can get coverage pretty easily. How many of you are actually not affiliated with a group yet? Are you starting groups? Anybody here? Okay. If you're thinking of starting groups, definitely consider sending out a press release, contacting the school newspaper, because they might want to cover just your existence. So you have an idea, you have a way to do something creative and cool, but who are you going to tell? So you need to target the right people. You don't let the sports reporter in Texas know about your group starting in the Northeast. You don't tell the Washington Post that you're starting a group in Arkansas. You've got to target the right people. So we can help you with that. And use your relationships, because it is a lot about people, personal relationships, past experiences with people, helps a lot. And we can help. We have access to a really extensive database of journalists, reporters, and actually online media is being included these days, people covering particular topics in certain areas. And one of my jobs is to help you get access to the right people. Now that's not everyone. Your school newspaper is an excellent way that I don't necessarily have access to, but that you probably have a friend in the school newspaper who's running it. Talk to them. Tell them about it. Pitch them ideas. Or ask them who you should talk to. They're going to be specific faith reporters or culture reporters or things on campus that are going to be more specifically to your target audiences. Try to get in touch with them. Meet them, find out who they are, what they like to do. This is the example from the South Carolina Pastafarians. Got some coverage from Muhammad Day, Drawing Muhammad. And I'm going to get to this example again a little bit later, but I had it here because user relationships, they'd already been covered by WIS 10. And so they knew that sending it there is more likely to be covered again. So they sent it, and yeah, I see you nodding. They've done a great job with media, and go talk to Andrew about this, because he can probably give you some great tips about how he did it and what you can learn from it. Have a compelling message, so you know who you're going to talk to, you know what you're going to do, what are you going to tell the reporters about it. Come up with some talking points, don't wander off. So this is, I'm thinking of UIUC again, their Have a Good Friday Night event. On Good Friday, they put up a table and talked about the Vatican stance on contraception and handed out condoms saying, have a Good Friday night. Wonderfully creative. The media will love to cover this. We need to push it more. We can make this a bigger national thing if enough groups do this. I'm really looking forward to it next year. But so, you want to tell them that you're raising awareness of the Vatican's HIV/AIDS stance? No, don't get them to distract you about, well, do you believe the Catholic Church? No, don't go off onto this. They're more likely to talk about that and not spread your message. Come up with some talking points ahead of time so that when they try to distract you, you can go back to them, prepare some good punchy things ahead of time. I like to focus on the positive about what we're doing good. We're defeating misinformation with education. We're ending discrimination and protecting children from abuse. Misinformation does real harm. Again, the UIC group. Know that they're going to ask you questions. They're going to object. Sometimes they're going to try to bring on another side if it's a back and forth. Aren't you just anti-religion? I'm sure you've heard all these. And I'm sure you know the responses. But it helps to write them down first. No, we're pro-science and reason. All ideas should be open to scrutiny. We respect people. Common objections, we've heard them before. We know how to counter them, but be prepared. Deliver it properly. Don't be a dick to the reporters. They're trying to help you. You're trying to help them. Again, partnerships know what they want. They want news to tell people. You have news. Give it to them. They'll help spread it. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship, but you need to help them make it. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to help you. So follow the guidelines. If you're not submitting the press release, letter to the editor in the right way, you're not going to be as likely to have it covered. Be timely, polite, and follow up. So letters to the editor. There are two particular ways that I'm going to focus on getting attention. Letters to the editor, which are really useful, and press releases, which is the bread and butter idea of press. Letters to the editor, useful for making contrary opinions heard. Again, it's easy. Most of our stuff is contrary. A lot of news articles will talk about God and how important it is. We can be the voice to write in and say, actually, not everybody believes in God. Or, actually, I think we should work towards closing the oil leak and not just pray towards it. Honoring anniversaries. Interestingly, really useful for getting letters to the editor published. You can talk about Darwin Day. You can talk about another famous freethinker's birthday. But, write in to say, I'd like to honor and remind everybody that such and such happened 5 years ago. Oh, getting your group in searches. This is a great way. So when people Google your group, they see that you've appeared in the media. That's kind of cool, isn't it? You seem more important. And on a political level, when local politicians and even larger politicians look for your group and see that you've been in newspapers, they consider you more influential and care more about what you have to say. If we're trying to make a difference in the world in the long run, political progress is really important, and this is a foundational step. More likely to be printed. Here's some basic rules to know how to make it more successful. If you're responding to a recent controversy, so I said be timely, don't write in a month later about a stupid article that got printed. They're not going to care anymore. Using local angles and statistics. If you show that you're from the community, you have some numbers, you have some good perspective, and speaking from a position of authority. If you just say you're Joe Schmo, you have an opinion, not so much. If you're the leader of a group of a lot of people, you're speaking for more people, it'll be printed. Here's an example. Once again, Lucy Gubbins, writing to her school paper, responding to a really vitriolic, stupid anti-atheist article. We talked about this in the Empirical a couple of issues ago. It was just, I think, what's her phrase? Lacking balance. The original piece called Atheists, Idiots, and Dipshits. And the school paper printed this. We have no idea why they printed this without editing it, or if they edited it, I have no idea what the original was like. But she wrote in, objecting not to his right to free speech, but saying, I'm disappointed that you printed this. In fact, you know what? He should come to our group to see what we're really like. What a positive message. Great job. And press releases are the other way. It's the way to alert the press that you're about to do something newsworthy and say, hey, you're going to want to cover this. Talk to us. So it's written like a perfect news article. As if you were a journalist, it's got to be objective, telling them the who, what, where, when. Any opinions has to come in quotes. Just like in a real news article, they can't say, this is the best group ever. You want to send it early and in plain text. This is part of the submit it, use the proper format. And I said I was going to get to this example from the Pastafarians. The WIS-10 covered it, and here's the quote they used. Our participation in this event is not to promote blasphemy or religious hatred. This is about drawing Muhammad. Said Pastafarian President Axton Curley. It is to be able to act on the freedoms guaranteed us by the Constitution without fear for our safety afterwards. Great quote. Now, did he think on his feet to come up with that? Did they ask him a question? Did they grill him? No, it's straight from his press release. They sent this press release. They did a great job of this. I wasn't involved. They did this on their own. This is from their website. I found it, and they had almost that exact quote. Now, the newspaper did change where they gave attribution. They put the said president in the middle. But other than that, it's word for word. And so you can come up with some great punchy quotes, not on the spot. You can think of them ahead of time. And a lot of the time, I don't know how many of your groups have a president and then a communications person or a PR, outreach, anything like that. One of the practices that I was surprised to find out about is that the PR writes the quote and then asks the person they're quoting whether it's something they would say. One of my first press releases, I actually was told, I knew that I was supposed to have quotes, and so I looked all through like our past history about anything that we had said about the subject. Couldn't find a thing. An hour and a half later, I went to my supervisor and said, look, I can't find anything about this. I know I'm supposed to have a quote. What should I do? She said, oh, make it up. I went, really? She said, yeah, make up something that's good, and then ask Roy if it's something he would say. All right, cool. So you can come with it ahead of time. It does not have to be in collaboration, but yeah, you need to clear it ahead of time with your president if they're saying something. Keep that in mind, though. Press releases have a very specific format that reporters expect to see. If it's not like this, it's going to look a little bit amateurish. There's some variation, but yeah, you don't want it to look like a general email that you're sending them, hey, doing something kind of cool, you might want to check it out. No, there's a format. It's specific. There's more information in the handout, a little more specific headline, date, location. For immediate release, sometimes you want to alert them of something, but you don't want them to write about it quite yet. You say that it's embargoed and tell them, you know what, embargoed until Friday. That's when the news is coming. That's when I want everyone to talk about this at once. Most of the stuff you're talking about for immediate release. Contact information. Sometimes they'll do what they did, WIS-10 did, just reprint quotes. They won't even tell you that they're going to cover you until you see it in Google Alerts. But sometimes they will contact you and ask for more information, ask how they can cover it better by showing up. And you let them know. Make it easy for them to cover you. It's a symbiotic relationship here. Content. Yeah, that's the meat. Figure out what you're going to say. How would you want them to cover you? And write it like that. Usually the first paragraph is who, what, where, when, some really basic facts. Second is some punchy talking points from your president. That's where the opinion comes in. That's where you have the great quotes about acting under the Constitution's freedoms without fear. At the end, they expect to see 3 pound signs. Convention, it tells them that's the end of the content. And some group info after that to tell them who you are, why you're writing about this, because they don't necessarily know. Sometimes they will if you're using the relationships, but there's a lot of turnover these days in the journalism business. I don't know if you've heard, they're having some trouble. One of my first experiences in, there was a political communicators of DC group, just communicators in the DC area who come talk about their trade and shared advice, shared stories. I was completely new, and so I learned a lot from it. I couldn't help them as much as they helped me, but they asked, who here has had one of their contacts leave the newspaper? Every hand went up, and it's only accelerating. You've built these friendships, you've built these relationships, and then they leave. On campus, they graduate. It's even worse on campus. So you need to tell them again who you are, why you're worthy of coverage. August covered this a little bit, but we're important. We're a different voice, we're controversial, and the media loves to cover us because we're edgy and hot topic. Follow-up calls. This is something you can do with press releases. Emails, not quite as good. One of the great advantages, you don't say, did you get my press release? It's considered rude, but you ask, did you have any questions? Usually they'll say, oh, what was this press release? Make sure it's not in my spam filter. This is your chance to pitch it live to them with the phone to their ear. Yeah, you send the emails, they don't always read it, but calling them, you have a really good chance to get through and make them pay attention to you. If they tell you, you know what, I only cover local stories. I've had that happen. I tried to get in touch with Manya Brockier, who loves to cover Hemet in Chicago. I gave her a call and she said, you know what, I only cover local issues on the blog. I said, oh, okay, great. I'll come to you with any local issues then. learn from it. Try not to piss them off. If you keep going to them with stories they don't care about, they'll be annoyed. More resources. This is a 20-minute talk. Actually, yeah, 19, 20 minutes. I can't get to all of it. So we have more stuff on our online, secularstudent.org/media relations, and me. Part of my job is to help you do this. You want to do it, I want you to do it. You know those symbiotic relationships? Yeah, me and you. That too. Yeah, give me a call. Give me an email. I'm also on Facebook a lot, as some of you have found out. I'm actually the person on Twitter and Facebook, as Liz has pointed out. So a couple of people have sent direct messages through Twitter. I respond trying to help out. That's a good way to plan ahead. Yeah, I'd love to talk with you more about it, but there are a few people that you can talk to as well. As I said, the Pastafarians at USC, UIUC has done a great job building a press list, figuring out who to contact, and actually doing it. If they can do it, so can you. That you can spread your message much more effectively with the media, and it's not out of your reach. Do it.